So it would finish 1-1 in this game, the biggest game of the weekend in the Premier League. Frank Leboeuf was watching it. This is what it does mean, because Chelsea knew that it could have moved to within 3 points of the Premier League leaders if they were to get a victory here. But as it stands right now, it is 6 points behind them. Arsenal still top of the table. Let's hear from both managers speaking after the game.
First of all, I think it was a really proper London derby, really intense. You could sense from the beginning that every duel, every action has something on it. Two teams very willing to win, and not much football. It was a lot of restarts, a lot of free kicks, stops, a lot of yellow cards. So not a lot of fluidity. But after the sending off of Caicedo, obviously we wanted to settle the game. We didn't manage to do that. We had more yellow cards. We had 4 yellow cards.
11-11, I think we were a better team than them. We managed the game, we controlled the game, we create chances, and we didn't concede nothing. And then the red card changed a little bit the dynamic, but even with that, I think the way the players dealt with that has been outstanding.
I have this flavor that today we should have and we could have won the game, and we haven't, and that's a learning point from it.
Frank Leboeuf joining us now. Let me start with you, Craig. I want to pick up on what Maresca just said there. 11 against 11, we were the better side.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think they looked a little bit more, without really, flexing their muscles, they looked a little bit more controlled with 11v11. I thought Chelsea did a great job today. I thought they learned from the game at Man United, where they lost Sanchez very early on to a red card and they had a panic up. Maresca had a panic up, made all these changes when all they needed to do was keep a good shape against a poor United side. Today, the sending off was a little later when Caicedo was red carded, and deservedly so. But they didn't panic. They kept a good shape. They were defensively very strong. I was actually disappointed in Arsenal today, particularly when Caicedo goes. I was expecting more from Arsenal in the final third. When you're in the last 10 minutes of a game and the side with 10 men look as likely to score, although we saw that Gyökeres chance that was taken from his head by Timber, Chelsea still were a threat going forward with 10 men in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And that tells you all you need to know about their mentality. So I think they can be very pleased with the win at Burnley, beating Barcelona the way they did, and really rolling their sleeves up today with a man down for the best part of an hour and putting up a really good fight against the best team in England at the moment. So I think Chelsea will be happier with that. But we'll never really know. It was looking like it. I mean, Anthony Taylor took 5 or 6 minutes, I think, to eventually get his first yellow card out. But he had to, because it started at such a powder gig, Stevie, didn't it?
He got the first one out just in time.
The first couple of minutes, there was 2 or 3 challenges, wasn't there? And he tried to let it go.
Well, he tried to, but then eventually nobody was going to calm down, because the game was so intense. And those challenges that were coming in, eventually somebody was going to get hurt. And so him bringing out the yellow... Now, it didn't change the intensity. Other than Caicedo, I would suggest that everybody was a little bit more careful. But certainly the intensity. And Chelsea, I was impressed with Chelsea big time. I think this game showed that Chelsea have taken a step forward. A team that we weren't quite sure what we were going to get. Well, today, they've set the standard for themselves today. They showed us what they've got up until the red card. They showed the intensity, the being brave, closing the ball down. They did every single thing that you would wish. And then to go down to 10 men and then produce the performance they did as well. Craig said, they looked as likely to score as Arsenal did at the end of the game. So they've now set a standard for themselves. And if they can achieve that standard every time they step on the field, then they could be a challenge for this title.
You've got to give the manager some credit, because he hasn't obviously won the Conference League, and I'm not even going to say it.
We know. In the summer, they won the shiny trophy.
That tournament in the summer in the United States. But, there's been other managers more experienced than him have had a pop at this Chelsea side. Now, there's 1 or 2 changes. Obviously, Esteval's come in and they've got a big squad. But he's gone in there, and as Stevie said, thus far he's taken them to another level where... Frank was on last week and we were saying, well, this is going to be a gauge of where Chelsea are. Not beating Barcelona so much, because Barcelona have really struggled defensively and Araujo gets sent off. But if they could do something to Arsenal that not many others have done, certainly only really Sunderland this season, then that might be a better barometer of where they are. And I actually think today, It was sent to the Chelsea players and the Chelsea manager. We can go toe-to-toe with most teams. But as I say, I think I heard in the commentary, 7 red cards in 15 games.
4th red card of the season.
And 1 for the manager recently as well. So you can't... That's going to drag you back like a giant parachute. I mean, there's just no getting away from it. And if you remember Arsenal, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, their discipline was a problem with red cards. And they've kind of tidied that up. I think Chelsea need to tidy it up. But in terms of the performance and how they go about it, as Stevie said, they were pretty impressive today.
I mean, you do wonder, don't you, Frank, had they not received that red card and how costly it did end up being for them. When we saw how the game ended, could they have had a better result had they kept Caicedo on the pitch? And it was 11 against 11.
Well, as Craig said, it's hard to say. Yeah, maybe, and we can hope that they could have a better result because they did better than Arsenal. I think Arsenal lost 2 points, playing 10 against 11. But otherwise, sometimes we didn't see the difference. We didn't see that Chelsea were 1 man less, and they worked so hard, and they were all together. I mean, the back line, and you can add Malo Gusto or Reece James because sometimes they change positioning, and Sanchez. They were so strong. I think Chelsea showed today. As I said last week, and I was expecting that they got a little bit more mature in terms of games. Yes, in terms of discipline, they still have to grow. But what I saw today was a team capable of fighting against the best team in England, and maybe, certainly one of the best teams in Europe. What Bayern Munich wasn't capable of doing 11 against 11 against Arsenal, Chelsea was capable of doing it 10 against 11. They were capable of fighting against a team who know how to be aggressive in a good way, how to challenge the opponent, and Chelsea were even doing better than them. So it says a lot about the performance of the Blues. And as I say, at the end of the day, Enzo Maresca should be proud of what he did today with all the players, I think the Arsenal coach, should be upset about his team not being capable of getting the 3 points.
But they've still kept 5 points, haven't they, between them and City and 6 and Chelsea. So it's not, it just wasn't. They didn't take advantage of a scenario that unfolded in front of them as good as they probably should have. I mean, Saka had that moment where he created the goal, where he dropped the shoulder, but Cucurella, who, he looks, when you watch him, he's just extremely annoying, but he does a good job. I mean, he got booked early on, and then he still managed to get tight to Saka without crossing that line, which is very difficult.
I know. The thing with Arsenal, though, is, as great as they've been and as good as they look, you've got to kill teams off. You can't, if you want to win the title, you can't leave teams hanging around, and that's what they've done today. I understand that 11v11, the intensity, it was great to watch. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fantastic football, but as a spectacle, I really enjoyed it.
Have you seen them that uncomfortable this season?
It's not uncomfortable that's bugging me. What's bugging me is when they equalised, I expected Arsenal to be fired up even more. You get the equaliser, you're playing against 10 men. You should be absolutely driving at the opposition and hammering them into the ground and knocking the ball around quickly and getting advantage of the 10 men. Instead, you see Saka creating the first goal. He never saw the ball for about 10 minutes. Why don't you get him the ball? And then you've got Timber started getting in his way. So Saka then comes inside. Now, as I said, you've just gotten the goal from getting the ball to Saka, but then he doesn't get it. And then Madueke, this was too much for him. This is a guy who, at Chelsea in particular, which is why Arsenal bought him, when he got the ball and he faced up with his opposition, he went after them. He looked scared today. It looked like it was too big. It was too big for him to step onto that Stamford Bridge field. And the biggest thing that annoyed me... The biggest thing, Frank, that annoyed me, there's about 20 minutes to go. It's 1-1, you're playing against 10 men, and you're letting Chelsea walk out with the ball and knock it. The 2 centre-backs are knocking it side to side, and nobody's closing the ball. I mean, really? If you want to win the title, you've got to go and win it. Nobody's going to give it to you. And you're a man up, and you're standing off. That makes no sense to me at all.
Frank?
I agree with Stevie. I think the leaders, and I'm talking about Saka, about Eze. They were only, for me, the shadow of themselves today. We didn't really see them doing what they had to do and what they normally do. Eze was absolutely invisible at the point that Arteta substituted him, and defensively, except Declan Rice, who always is the right guy at the right place and do the right job. The others. No, not so much. Well, the fact that Saliba and Gabriel didn't play, it's a big turning point as well. You have to consider that, with all due respect to Mosquera and Nketiah, but it's not the same. It's not the same duo. It's not the same level for me. So it says maybe why Arsenal, on especially set pieces, corner kicks, didn't get anything from there.
How big an impact is that, not having Saliba for this game?
Yeah, but they didn't have to do. I mean, there might have been a bit of bad marking from the goal, but they didn't have to do. I don't remember them making that many mistakes. I don't think that was their issue today. I think their issue was when Chelsea go down to 10 men, that Arsenal don't push on and take advantage of that. I don't think this has anything to do with two centre-halves being out. Because they took João Pedro off, don't forget, because once they go down to 10, he's not really getting much ball, and then Liam Delap comes on, he's a bit of a battering ram. So it was relatively comfortable for them in that respect. Although Chelsea did play a lot of good stuff, particularly in the middle of the park, the chances were few and far between. I don't think Arsenal drew today because they have their two main centre-halves out. Let's not forget, at times this season, I think Chelsea had something like 10 injuries, including a bulk of them in their back four. So they're not the only team, Arsenal, that are dealing with these issues. The problem today was, Frank touched on it, Eze didn't have that blistering game that he did in the North London derby. Bukayo Saka got very little change out of Cucurella. Lisandro Trossard, who does things differently and can just pop up with something special, is injured. And Martinelli's a one-trick pony. He likes to run in behind, and that space to run in behind wasn't there. So I agree with Frank. I think Declan Rice was the best player in the park. Again, Stevie and I were talking about this before we came on air. He's just a Rolls Royce at the moment, but it was other areas of the field. I mean, you bring Gyökeres on, and they got one really good ball into the box, which Timber got on his way. But if I'm bringing Gyökeres on, I'm not flapping around with the ball, with Stevie said at the back. I'm sticking it into my wide players. I'm getting half a yard. Don't have to beat my full back. Half a yard, and I'm chucking it in there. And I'm asking the big guy to go and attack it. They didn't do that enough, and hence they only got a point. But it's a point maybe at the end of the season they'll take. But I think from Chelsea's perspective, from their perspective, it was a very good North London derby for them, considering the circumstances. I think from Arsenal's, as Stevie said, maybe at the end of the season they'll look back and say, Sunderland, we were in the lead and we chucked it away. Chelsea, and we had them hanging with 10 men and we did not take advantage.
This is definitely the one that will think that. The Sunderland one, I think, is just one of those. It's a team getting promoted. They're big and strong. It's a physical battle. Sunderland got a couple of rubs of the ball and they end up getting a couple of goals. This to me is different. This was a footballing issue. Why Arsenal didn't win this game. So if I'm Arteta, that's what I'm looking at. The football side of it, we should have beaten 10 men.
So big picture, Frank, what does this result mean for the title race? Are Arsenal still big favourites?
Yeah, they are, but they will have to prove it. They lost 4 points against Sunderland and Chelsea, and Man City is back. Chelsea is still there. We'll have the winter room right now, window right now, and it's going to start very soon. And let's see, even if they play one less game, I think it's always crucial. And if you miss the curve, you know, it can be on the final line in danger. So they should win the title. I think Chelsea is getting more mature, but not ready to win the title. We don't know about City. They can be inconsistent. So I think Arsenal is still the favorite, but I like the fact that we can still have a race and it's not given already after that game. 10 against 11. They should have gotten the 3 points, been, I don't know, 7 points ahead of the others. It's nice for the Premier League, I think.
Why? But you know, it really is theirs to go and win this year because, and if they don't, it's going to throw up more questions than answers, many more, because it's a decent version of City, but it's not the best. It's an evolving Chelsea side, but one that hasn't got over the line. It's very young. and it's certainly not the best version of Liverpool, by a long shot. So when you think about all that, the sides that are really the ones that are going to be in the horse race, and they are either struggling or we really are unsure about them, if Arsenal don't go over the line this year, that's going to be a psychological battering ram for them, isn't it? Because they are the strongest in this league at the moment by a stretch, in terms of the squad, in terms of the performance. But if somehow they chuck this away this year and they allow a City side that were flagging last year, or Chelsea who are young and naive, if they'll allow one of them, we know Liverpool are not going to win it, they're too far behind now. But if one of those others were to win it, I wouldn't like to be Mikel Arteta facing the questions.
No excuses. There really isn't.
No.
There's no excuses. Every department of this Arsenal squad, team, 11, bench, you name it, is as good or not better than every other team in the Premier League. So this 100% has to be the year.